All right. How's it going?
Hi, good. How are you?
Doing good. Doing good. All right. So let's just start off with you talking about your kind of journey into fitness and health and veganism.
Uh, well, I started out uh eating lots of vegan junk food. Um, and I became obsessed with making vegan food as delicious as possible, as um just to show look how good vegan food is,
Mhm.
for those who thought it was just uh grass, like rabbit food. And
Well, real quick, what led to you being vegan? It sounds like it's probably the ethics then.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Um I when I was it's kind of a long story, but it started when I was in 10th grade and I had to dissect a pig in
Oh.
science class. It just deeply traumatized me. And so that's when I started really questioning everything. And it's a long story, but I just I never really had a great relationship with food, and I feel like um, that I went through phases where I would kind of abuse food,
Mm-hmm.
like a drug, and um, it just became clear to me just how insulting it is to do that, when that food is someone else's life. Um,
Mm.
just I
Where
guess in a
I,
what was that?
I was just gonna say, yeah, that's kind of interesting to think about. That's something I've been talking to people about recently. Where if I talk to a meat eater that talks about you doing it for health, I'd like to point out to them at least like if you think you need this for health, that's fine, you do that. But if you know something's unhealthy, like hot dogs or chicken nuggets, that you're causing the suffering only for the taste buds, which is such a different story. And so that's a good point with the overeating aspect of it. If because I have the same situation. I would like to get healthy. I haven't really gotten healthy yet, but I've always gone back and forth between being healthy and not healthy, whether vegan or not. And that's such an interesting element to it that if somebody's like overeating and eating stuff like pointless calories that they don't need, if they're causing suffering doing that, that's even worse than causing it thinking you need it. So anyways, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, it really, I think it really just fundamentally changed how I look at food at all. I feel like there's just so much more gratitude for the food that I do eat.
Hmm.
And um, I, I, I guess it was just really part of my journey to taking care of myself. Um, I feel like um, I'm kind of drawing a blank right
Oh,
now.
you're fine. You're fine. Well, so you were saying that okay, so 10th grade was the dissecting of the pig. And then before that and up until being healthy recently, you said you had some like eating disorder of sorts, like overeating. So how long did you figure out any health plans between then and before going vegan that you went off and on?
Um, not. I mean, I would. That was about in high school, so that was probably about 15 years ago.
Mm,
So it's been a long time, but I think that at the time I just I come from an overweight family, and um, uh, I had um, just an obsession with being thinner at the time, without
mhm,
really thinking anything about health.
mm,
But over the years, I've really. started to understand nutrition and learning to eat to live and not live to eat. And
Mm,
um, there's uh, there's a lot that I just don't understand about societal, um, I guess, views on food.
hmm
We have really normalized, really processed, um, empty calories. I guess you
hmm
could say. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I have a theory on that. I might have mentioned this in the last talk I had on the health topic, but I find it so interesting that people will, if somebody in somebody's family uses drugs like heroin or even something as simple as smoking, people will have like interventions and tell them like you need to stop doing this, like we care about your health. But when people get overweight or eat too much or whatever, they don't do that. And I'm wondering if the reason is because drugs are bad and we don't need them, whereas food, some of it is bad, but we need food. So since we need it, people don't find it easy to like try to help each other with it. I don't know. It's really weird.
yeah, I think that the way I've started to look at it, if it's a food that doesn't really serve me, like if it's intended just for the taste, then I see
Mhm.
it as like what's the purpose of eating it really other than pleasure?
Yeah.
Um, vegan or not, it's if it's white flour, processed sugar, and oil, what does it really do to improve our lives? And why is it considered weird to just to not eat that way?
hmm Yeah. Yeah, no, it's very strange. Well, because and what's interesting is like if you tell a friend like, "Oh, you should stop smoking," they'll go, "Oh, I know, I know." But if you see them eating some of the things you just mentioned, like I don't know, candy bar or something where it's just like there's zero need for it. It'll be like, "Why are you judging me? Why are you one of those people?" And it's a bummer. It would be awesome if our society was okay with people challenging their health habits, and but we just people want to focus so much on the idea of like not bullying, which obviously it's good to not bully. You don't want to make fun of somebody just because the way they look, but the people kind of conflate the two where obviously it's bad to like for kids at school to like make fun of other kids calling them fat, but to tell somebody close to you, I can see that you've gained some weight. It's something you should really work on because, I want to spend the rest of my life knowing you and so yeah, it's hopefully there can be a shift at some point, but I can't see it coming. I can't see. Maybe the best we can do is kind of what you did, which is get really healthy and be an example. I'm guessing you have dozens of people in your life that say, "How did you do it? Help me do it." And then you're a good example for them.
Yeah, I actually there was something you said that made me think of something. Now I can't remember it now.
Oh,
Um, but when oh man, I'm sorry.
oh, it's all right.
uh so I I think that I might be just too
Forgot
nervous.
everything. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're fine. But yeah, I was just talking about how like it's hard to tell people that maybe they should get healthier because you want to spend time with them, and that also I can't imagine there being a time in any near future where it seems like it's more important to people that there's movements like fat acceptance and that kind of stuff. And so I can't imagine there being a situation where it's the other way around, where it's more of like interventions to get people to lose weight. Like I wish people would be like that with me. I wish I had more people around me that were like encouraging me to exercise and that kind of stuff. And do you have a lot of people around you that ask you to say like, how can I do what you did?
Yeah, I was you just made me think of something. When well, like everybody knows to take care of their car, and
Mm,
that if you have too much weight in your car or in an airplane, it's strenuous to the motor, to the engine, and it might not be apparent right away, but it will be. You'll shorten the lifespan of your car if you have too much, like if you just have a ton of garden soil that you're hauling around.
mhm,
um, you're gonna end up killing your car over
mhm,
over time, maybe not right away. And it's kind of like that. And it's kind of, it might become hard to notice that it's strenuous. It was hard to notice for me for the longest time, to realize I don't have to feel this way. And um and I think a lot of people, they ask me how I got healthy, but at the same time they want to be told that they should stay the same. In a
mm,
kind of weird, because people will come to me for advice and then they'll kind of be insulted if I answer their questions and don't say, no, you're fine the way you are.
mhm,
Which, I mean, there's nothing that makes someone a bad person for being unhealthy in some way. We all have different vices, and sometimes for certain people they're more visible than others.
mhm,
And um it really um takes a lot of uh it takes a lot of self-awareness to really make a change.
mhm,
And um it takes discomfort, it takes willingness to be uncomfortable to make a change. And um I do think that it's sad that we seem people seem to have normalized it in a way, just because it's common. And that's exactly why people keep eating animals, because it's just so common, it's normalized. And
mhm.
um
Yeah. Well, no, you're fine. Yeah, well, one thing I think that's interesting, like the example you gave with the car, is I think it's kind of proof that it's all an addiction. Because if people know, like I think everybody overweight, or for the most part, they know that it's unhealthy. They know it's bad for them. They know their life's going to be shorter. They might excuse it by saying, "Oh, it's like I was born this way. I was born to be heavier and you were born to be thinner or whatever." But they know it's not healthy. And so the fact that somebody can know something's not healthy, and that if they stop doing the unhealthy thing, it would be better for them, in the same way that they would keep their car, they'd want to keep their car running well. Th- The fact that, like, looking at this like donut or cake, and they go, I know this shouldn't go in this system, in the same sense that water shouldn't go in the gas tank of a car, but I need to have it. I think it's just a food addiction, and we have such an abundance. It's everywhere. Every street corner has fast food, and yeah, again, I really don't think that there's any way to change it unless enough people decide together, like, hey, let's hold each other accountable, and they like truly do. And yeah, I think it might just be a one by one. Hopefully enough people can do it one by one, like the way you did. What inspired you to go the health route?
uh well, um I just I wasn't I didn't feel like I didn't feel like myself when I was overweight. I felt like I was trapped within myself. And I think that is why a lot of people stay the way they are, because they start to identify with it. They can't visualize themselves any different. And I think that I was able to overcome it because I refuse to visualize myself that way. I refuse to identify with it. And I think with any kind of addiction, once you get it out of your system, it stops having a hold on you. Because I enjoy eating healthy food. I'm not um, tempted by things that I know are bad for me. I know, and like, I'm not even used to eating that way anymore. So if I did, I'd notice a difference in how I felt.
Mm.
Um, so I think it's really just breaking through that barrier of change that most people, they feel like it's going to feel that way forever. My dog, she wants to play with the neighbors.
Oh, that's fun.
Um, and you know, she's taught me a lot too, because
Mm.
she's considered um the working breeds. They need to be active, they need to be mentally stimulated, or they get
Mm.
destructive and depressed. And I've realized I'm the same way. I think a lot of people are working breeds. I think a lot of people who are feeling depressed or just have any kind of aggression, if they're not taking the time to exercise,
Mm-hmm.
um, would make such a difference for them.
Yeah, definitely. And getting out, seeing nature, just like we're kind of designed to move. Yeah, yeah, it's kind of interesting. I guess pets are kind of like the whole car situation where we'll see the pets and we'll want them to be the healthiest they can be, but we won't do it for ourselves. It's kind of weird. I have 3 rescue guinea pigs, and I always look up like, can guinea pigs eat this certain food? And some things they can, and some things they can't. But they mostly eat just like fresh greens and some stuff like carrots, and then some hay and whatnot. But I've noticed, similar to how I don't know if you get specific dog food, but similar to how dog food, a lot of it has filler and garbage in it, so they're not getting like their optimal health. It's the same thing when you look at like a lot of guinea pig stuff at the store. It'll be like guinea pig treats that have like some like dehydrated carrot type stuff, but then there'll be like added sugar. And I'll be like,
Oh,
what? Like, why are they doing this? I get why we eat that in sugar as humans, but like, so for me, I feed these guinea pigs perfectly. They have the most optimal diet they could possibly have. But for myself, I'll consume all these unhealthy things that I know the human body shouldn't have. And it's kind of wild how like it's hard to have self-control over that kind of thing. Um, but
yeah.
but but yeah, I'm curious. So what did so you feel like you don't crave the unhealthy foods now? Does that mean that you essentially picked certain foods and those are out of your life and you don't do like cheat type like a cheat day or anything? Is there a certain way you eat? Is it like 100% whole food?
Um, I would say it's pretty much 90% whole food.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I still like chocolate, like anything chocolate. And if there's like a um I think it's really just balance,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is easier to find once you've been through that barrier.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I think the difference is when it has a hold on you versus when it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's like I love being able to get special things for holidays. Like I have some Easter candy from No Way, and I think that uh, also I make healthier versions of things. But I think when it's just every once in a while, and it's hard sometimes too, because being vegan, sometimes friends and family will make me things, and
Mm-hmm.
it's vegan, which I appreciate, but it's like really unhealthy. And
Yeah.
I guess it's not good to have like an all or nothing mentality. But as long as I know that I'm eating well most of the time, I'd say 80, at least 80% of the time, then then it's okay. It's going to be okay.
Gotcha.
Um
Yeah, my wife kind of does. how you're saying how it's like mostly healthy and then little things here and there. I cannot, like, as I could go like months or even years just eating only whole food, but the second I like have some kind of vegan candy, or if I have like an Impossible Burger or something, I just fall off the wagon. I have to consume everything in sight. And I don't know if there's ever going to be some kind of balance I figure out, or if I'll just have to perfect the idea of eating only whole foods for the rest of my life at some point. Um, but yeah, I don't know if different people have different levels of addiction, but I just, once I know the thing that's already bad for me is in my body, I just go like, "Oh, that's already there. I might as well." And we just make excuses for ourselves. Yeah.
Well, I think it depends on how often that happens, and it might
Mhm.
feel a little bit like you're starting over. I've been through that too, uh,
Mhm.
throughout my journey. I think that it just gets easier with time. Just feel like you're starting over, and um, it will eventually. I think that just with time, it's like an exercise. It gets stronger the more you build it.
Mhm.
So um, I I mean, maybe spread out the time, see how much longer you can go. But I don't know, it's different for everybody because I mean, in some cases, maybe the longer you wait, the more it will feel, the stronger the pull towards it will be.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. Can you remind me? We might have talked about it before, but how much weight did you end up losing from when you like started to try to lose weight?
I lost 90 overall.
90. Okay, wild. How long did it take to lose the 90?
It took probably about 6 years.
Okay.
It was a non-linear progression,
Gotcha,
but
gotcha. Was it more was like the bulk of it in the past like year or something? Or was it just like completely off and on for the 6 years?
um, no, I think that actually in the past year or two, it's really slowed down, probably
Oh,
because
okay.
I'm leaner than probably I've ever been in my life.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that's really those last 10, 20 pounds are when you really have to assess your lifestyle overall.
Hmm.
And um, it's I think I personally struggle like at nighttime. I feel like I've become a shark and just I just want to eat everything in the house, no
Hmm.
matter what. And so I think really just really looking within and understanding why you're having those feelings. I think that I started realizing my whole life I've been discouraged from self-expression.
Hmm.
Like if I could dance or sing without feeling ashamed, I don't think that I would have ever been overweight.
Interesting. Gotcha. Yeah, no, nighttime's definitely a tricky thing. I feel like I mean the only ways I've figured out how to get away from that is either going to bed earlier or brushing my teeth at some point, knowing that I don't want to eat anything after I brush my teeth. But yeah, the nighttime thing's tricky. But yeah, no, the expressing yourself thing is interesting. And yeah, we're all different. We all have different levels of comfort, and I guess that could be a good important thing to think about with kids, is to help make sure that they are good at expressing themselves and being honest and that kind of thing. Um, so yeah, what would you say when you first started going from being unhealthy to being healthy? What's like the first like thing that really pushed you, that you thought, was there like a really good book, or like a certain person that said certain things, a certain like way of eating, that once you did it you felt great?
Um, I think that well, I sorry,
That's all
she
right.
was outside. So she so I had uh, a friend who died unexpectedly when he was 35. And it turned out that he was diabetic, and didn't know it,
Oh
and
wow.
nobody was expecting it. And and it was just such a wake up call for me, to really it's it only gets harder to be healthier the older you get. If
Mhm.
and if you don't take responsibility for it now, it's just going to get worse.
Yeah.
uh, and so that it really affected me when that happened. So that was when I really started eating food that I knew would be good for my well-being, rather than masking, um, kind of using food just to replace happiness, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's another big issue with it too, is like the human body works in such a strange way that, back in the day before we had endless amounts of food, the foods that we wanted to consume would give us these high levels of dopamine. But now scientists have been able to figure out the perfect the perfect things for us to consume to feel this, like, I need more of that, so companies can sell this garbage and make more. So yeah, it's kind of a tricky thing where your brain tells you want more of something, but we can look at the evidence and see that it's not good for us to get that more of that. But yeah, it's that's a bummer about your friend. Yeah, wake up calls are tricky. I think the first time I got really healthy was a doctor told me that I had was starting to get fatty liver.
oh,
And yeah, and they just said, like, you gotta change how you eat. And I think I went from like 260 down to 190 in like maybe a year's worth of time.
wow.
And yeah, and I felt great and it was amazing. And I don't know what led to it, but at some point I just started eating bad again, and I'm at like 230 now. So I never got back to really as bad as I was. But yeah, it's just a bummer. I feel so much better when I'm eating healthy and when I'm out going on hikes, being in nature. I don't know if it's since I live in Oregon and it's cold here, like throughout the winters are pretty bad. So I'm just stuck in the house. I don't know if it's just a coping mechanism to eat food, but yeah. But talking to people like you reminds me that I need to get back on track, and it's cool to hear stories of how people are successful with health. So
What did you do to lose to go from 250 to?
yeah, from 260 to 190. I essentially just ate only whole food. So everything I ate, I prepared it myself. Is, fruits, veggies, nuts, seeds, grain, legumes, and anything that's whole, I would have, and anything that's not, I pretty much anything in a package, anything pre-made, I didn't eat. And I dabbled off and on with intermittent fasting, and I think that that helped a decent amount. But I think the bulk of it was just not eating the processed stuff. No oils at all. No added sugars. Nothing like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you exercise regularly?
I didn't do much exercising at all. I like to get out and hike and whatnot, but whenever I want to like attempt to lose weight and show that it can be done, I like the idea of figuring out what's causing it. And so I liked the idea of showing that even though exercising is so good for you, I've been convinced that what does the weight loss is the food. I don't know if you feel different on that. Um, but then again, I've also heard that, like, when you gain muscle, having that muscle helps with weight loss as well. But I don't know too much about that.
Yeah, I guess hiking is a great outlet. I think a lot of the time, uh you just have to find a good physical outlet. Um,
Hmm.
is- I mean, it might help with weight loss, but I think it helps with mental health too.
Yeah. Well, and then having the good mental health makes you have less cravings for the unhealthy food. So it's kind of a perfect, like, it's all or nothing almost. Like, you have to get the good sleep, you have to have the good mental state, you have to have the right foods in your body, and yeah, and it's hard to do all those things. It's especially if you're the only one doing it and everybody else around you is not doing it.
Yeah, well, it's progress, not perfection, right?
Yeah. Yep. Just working towards it all. Yeah. Awesome. Well, do you have any last thoughts on the topic?
Uh, no, I don't think so. Do you?
Okay. No, I mean, I'm sure we could go on and on the topic, but I think that's a good point to stop for this one. And yeah, we'll have to do another talk sometime soon.
Okay.
All
Yeah,
right, take care.
thank you. You too.